our vision for Forza is to turn gamers into car lovers and car lovers into gamers. So it's very much not just about simulation or arcade or any of those old ideas. It's actually about making a difference in gamer culture and car culture. But that's not to say there isn't a difference in motorsport and Horizon. Motorsport, your motivation is to shave time off of your lap on the Nordschleife. It's really about mastering a car. Horizon, it's about exploration, having fun, having a good time. So is it an arcade? Sure, but it's a simulation engine. So is it a sim? Yeah, it's kind of an arcade and a sim, but the motivation is very different. It's like music festival, summer, have fun, road trip, explore an open world. It's a very different game. Well, part of this was to get people thinking about cars in a new way, and that meant adding a human element. So there's a lot of crowds in here. It's an open world, but also it's this music festival, so there's people there, hundreds of thousands of people. You also have a bit of a narrative, a bit of a storyline with Alice and some of the other characters in there, and that's to add a human element. But at root, the car is still the star. So we still want you to build relationships with cars and be able to foster those through the game and make sure no car is disposable. In some games, and there's nothing wrong with this, but in some games the car gets thrown away because it becomes outdated in the game. We want you to be able to paint the car, tune the car, take the car through much of the career and really build that relationship. Well, just like in Forza 4, the simulation engine carries through. The difference is that there are even more assists. So in Forza 4, we had the base physics engine, and then on top of that, we had TCM, ABS, STM, plus brake assist, steering assist. You name it. There were a lot of assists. There was the green line, rewind, things in the controller. Well, Forza Horizon uses the same physics engine, but some of the assists have been made even more powerful. So some of the things in the steering and the TCS and the like. So the car may feel a little bit more easy to drive in Horizon when you start out. But if you turn all the assists off, grab yourself a wheel, go to simulation steering, the cars in the two different games are going to feel extremely similar. Well, this is about epic driving roads. And some of that epic driving roads is finding your own path. And you also dice it up with the AI a little bit more than you do in a Forza Motorsport. So, the goal is to have a game that's fun to play, pick up, have a great time. But yeah, the courses are different because there's off-road and there's gullies. And you can kind of hook a tire in sort of a gully area and get extra traction around a corner. You can cut corners. And then also when you go deeper into a corner, it's all, there's a lot of tarmac, there's a lot of dirt, there's not as many tire walls there. So, there's a lot more forgiveness. Well, like in a lot of open world games, there's a lot of emergent gameplay or freeform gameplay that just kind of finds you. So you might be trying to go to an event because that's what you think you should do, but meanwhile, over the radio, you hear about a barn find that you can go explore, and so you might take a detour and go find that. And meanwhile, you're seeing all these upgrade signs, you may as well hit those, and you start hearing about another race, or you get into a street race with somebody that randomly just kind of challenged you, or you saw that you wanted to challenge in the world. So our hope is that there is a linear path that you can follow if you want. Well, it's not even linear, it's actually pretty open. You can choose different events you want to do. But in many ways, the funnest part of an open world game is getting lost. And not frustrating lost, that's why there's the green line to help you find where you want to go, but lost in a different activity. Like, yeah, I thought I was going to go do a race, but I found myself losing an hour just exploring, looking for barn finds. That happens quite a bit in Horizon. It's set in an original version of Colorado, and at its heart is this summer music festival. And that summer music festival changes the whole world. Obviously, there are the actual radio stations with DJs telling you about this world. But also, it is open, and it is Colorado, so there's amazing, amazing driving roads to go explore. But what I find myself doing a lot is getting lost in street racing itself. Not the ones that are organized, sanctioned street races that happen at night. Well, they're not even sanctioned, but a little bit more like there's a hub where you can go find street races that you definitely want to, go win some big cash. But there's a lot of festival drivers just driving around in the world, and I find myself just dogging somebody where, I just happen to see a car and I'm like, I'm just going to challenge this guy, and I beat him, and then I'm just challenge him again and go to some other area of the map and beat him again. And I know it's not a real person, but it's really fun to just sort of dog this guy for like 2 hours. This is Summer Music Festival, and the thing with cops is they, one, often turn the car into a weapon and make the car very disposable. So the car is less about building a relationship with the car, and you're more fixated on it as a weapon itself. So no, there are no police officers in this game, and the goal is to have you explore the world and have a great time. So that was really a conscious choice, that we want the cars to have that depth, have that ability to build a relationship without fixating on some other threat that's always chasing you down, where the car becomes less relevant as an actual driving machine. Well, you've got me a bit of a disadvantage. I haven't actually seen Grid 2, so it's not released yet, and I'm not pressed, so I don't actually get access to the game. So I don't actually know what they're doing or not doing. I will say that for us, cockpit view is pretty critical because it's not that most people drive in it most of the time. In fact, very few people drive in it most of the time. The interesting thing we found from our data in Forza 3 and 4 is that almost everybody drives it when they get a new car in the game for a small amount of time, because it's part of kicking the tires and getting your experience in a car. So, working with data can actually be tricky, because you could see data that says, 1% of the players are using this feature or not. If that's an all-up number, it would make it seem like, wow, that's really small, it's a small number. But it could be that 100% of the players are using it for 1 minute. That could be a very small number. So that's what we found in Forza, is that cockpit's actually extremely popular with a lot of people. They just don't use it to compete. So it's important for us to express the car. Forza Horizon is it's where cars belong. It's an open world, it's where competition meets culture, it's an action racing game. It's a lot of fun. That's what it all comes down to. Have fun, build a relationship with cars. It ships on October 23rd.